Welcome to the Learning Speaking English channel. There are moments in life when silence becomes heavier than words. Edward knew that feeling well. Living in the heart of London, surrounded by people who spoke fast, confidently, and effortlessly, he often felt as if every sentence he tried to say came with invisible chains. The words were there inside him, but they never came out the way he wished. He used to listen to others and think, why does my English sound so different? He wanted to speak not just correctly, but beautifully, with rhythm, clarity, and confidence. Yet every time he opened his mouth, self-doubt walked in first. Edward worked in a small office near the River Thames. He was intelligent, organized, and dedicated, but when meetings began, he would shrink inside his chair. He worried about his accent, his pronunciation, and even the way he moved his lips. While others discussed ideas freely, he rehearsed every sentence in his mind and then said nothing. One evening, as he walked home through the foggy London streets, he realized something powerful. Communication is not about perfection. It's about connection. He had spent years trying to sound right instead of trying to feel right. That night he promised himself he would fix the way he spoke, not by imitating others, but by discovering his own true voice. The next morning, Edward began with the simplest step: listening. He played English podcasts while making breakfast, paid attention to the rise and fall of each voice, and repeated small phrases slowly and clearly. He practiced every vowel, every consonant, until he could feel the rhythm of the language flowing through him. At first, it felt awkward. His tongue stumbled, his mouth felt tired, and his brain wanted to quit. But he kept going. Because deep inside, he knew confidence doesn't arrive one morning like a gift. It grows quietly with every small practice you refuse to skip. Weeks turned into months. Edward noticed changes not only in his voice but in his attitude. When he spoke, he no longer looked down. His sentences became smoother, his pauses shorter. One day his colleague said, "Your presentation today was amazing." That single sentence carried more weight than any compliment he had ever received. Edward smiled, not because someone noticed his progress, but because he finally noticed it himself. The fear that once ruled him had turned into fuel. The English language, which once felt like a wall, was now a bridge. He realized pronunciation isn't only about sound. It's about confidence. When you believe in your words, your mouth follows your heart. You begin to breathe between thoughts, let emotions color your tone, and allow pauses to speak louder than words. You stop rushing. You start feeling the rhythm of English, the music of expression. Edward started practicing a small ritual each night. He would stand before the mirror and talk about his day in English, describing what he did, what he felt, what he dreamed. Sometimes his sentences were simple, sometimes complex, but he spoke as if the mirror were the world listening. With every reflection, he built trust in his own voice. Slowly, something extraordinary happened. He began to like the sound of himself. That moment, liking your own voice, is where transformation begins. Because when you stop criticizing your sound, you start improving it naturally. He joined a local speaking club where people from different countries came together just to speak English without judgment. For the first time, Edward spoke freely in front of strangers. He laughed when he made mistakes and learned from every correction. Each word became a step toward freedom. Months later, Edward gave a short speech at his office event. The same people who once overlooked his ideas listened carefully. His pronunciation was clear, his tone confident, his rhythm calm. When he finished, the room was silent for a second, and then filled with applause. But the most powerful sound in that room wasn't the clapping. It was the inner voice of Edward saying, "You did it." From that day on, he never said, "I can't speak well." Instead, he said, "I'm learning to speak better every day." Because that's the truth. English is not a mountain to conquer. It's a path to walk daily. To fix the way you speak, you don't need magic. You need patience, consistency, and belief. You need to listen more, read aloud more, and stop judging yourself for every little error. Every native speaker was once a beginner. Every confident voice was once a trembling whisper. When Edward looked back after a year, he realized that speaking confidently had changed more than just his English. It had changed his life. He could now share ideas openly, connect with people deeply, and express emotions freely. The language had become his companion, not his competitor. If you, listening right now, have ever felt afraid to speak, remember Edward's story. Stand before your mirror tonight. Speak 1 full minute without stopping. Don't worry about grammar. Don't chase perfection. Just let your thoughts flow. The next day, do it again, a little longer, a little stronger. This is how you fix the way you speak. Not by memorizing rules, but by freeing your voice. Not by hiding mistakes, but by learning through them. Not by sounding like someone else, but by becoming the best version of yourself. Your voice is powerful. It carries your story, your strength, your dreams. And English, this beautiful, global language, is just the bridge that lets your voice travel further. Use it with love, not fear. So, today, promise yourself, I will speak without fear. Because when you speak, you grow. And when you grow, the world listens. If you like this video, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to our channel.